What's going on, everyone? Art at Patience Metal Fab. Although technically I'm not at PMF right now, I'm in my truck making my way up to our local racetrack. If you recall in the last Orange C8 Corvette episode, the owner was kind enough to invite myself and Gary to go up there and participate in a bit of a test and tune track day, and that is happening right now. So what we're going to be doing is unloading the car, giving it a bit of a shakedown, and ultimately just getting a feel for what all these modifications have done to the car. Now, this is a pretty rare opportunity for us because typically when we modify, fabricate on a vehicle, it leaves our doors and we don't really get to experience it after the fact. And in this case, we're gonna get some seat time and really find out what these modifications have done to the driving experience on this car. So I'm really excited. I hope you guys are as well. I've got about a 2-hour drive ahead of me. Sun's coming up behind me. I've got my coffee, so I'm ready to roll. One of the goals of this session is to give a little bit of a breakdown of each of the individual modifications that we've made to this car, and I think the first one is something that you just saw, which is the dual tow hooks up here. So before, John would have to hook up underneath the car, and it's a pretty tight fit in this trailer. So now it makes it really easy to put a couple of straps on the front, on the back, and that's all thanks to those added tow hook provisions that we made. What's up, Gary?
What's going on, Art?
Nothing formally. Good morning to you.
Yeah, it is morning. Here we are.
He made it out last night to John's cabin, so they were hanging out and just got a good night's sleep. And I drove up in the morning, and now John's out to go get some gas. The unload process was incredibly easy, and we were just talking about how this isn't necessarily the typical experience of a race car. I mean, you get one of these things out, and it might take half hour of getting out of the trailer, set up, and then like the prep time starts.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of a different animal with this car.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's just really, whenever you take a car that's been developed this far at an OEM level, you don't have to do a whole lot to get it track ready, right? The tires, the brakes, a little bit of aero. I mean, other than that, this car is still basically an OEM car. So it's reliable, it works well. There's not a whole lot to really do other than just sort of enjoy the day and get some hours in the seat.
We've got a little bit of a posse forming here. One of John's friends, Nick, who has a Camaro that's in our shop right now. You might have seen it in one of our videos. It's really hard to miss. It's this bright green color. Well, we're going to be building that up into eventually a full race car. We're doing some entry modifications, race seats and bumper bar and things like that right now. But because the car's at our shop, he's going to be driving this rental Sentra, which, I mean, isn't that thrilling, but it's more race car than the C8 is in some cases. I mean, it's fully caged race seats. You can see that it's got, it sounds like a race car. So we'll see what he can do with that before eventually he climbs into a very powerful Camaro. So this is kind of a good test and tune day for him for his skills. Gear and I just took a quick lap around the facility, just getting the lay of the land on the track, and we're back now. A couple Porsches have showed up, and the C8 Corvette from our other videos here, so we're gonna get an opportunity to see them kind of head to head and see what the modifications on John's car have done to give him the edge on that car. And eventually we're going to be finding some vantage points around here. I see a tower over here, there's some media towers over there, and get you guys some really cool footage. And of course with the GoPro we can get on car and in-car footage as well. Since this car is dialed in from the factory in terms of the electronic side, the power, what we're messing with is some of the aero characteristics. So we've got the Bears spoiler that we put on a couple weeks ago, and right now we're just dialing in to what we think is going to be a good baseline for downforce on this car. And what's cool is we can adjust it after he takes a session out on the track. If he's feeling like the rear end isn't getting enough downforce, we can adjust it up and vice versa. The really cool thing about these two Corvettes is it's a father and son team. So John is in the orange one and Chad is in the gray one. And that's kind of cool to see the generational difference in how they're going to be racing, but also the differences in the cars, because the gray one is much more stock. This orange one has the spoiler and the diffuser up front. It's got slicks on it versus the OEM tires, and then the race seats and the roll bar and things inside. Not to mention that Corsa intake that's going to give him a little bit more power. But ultimately John has the edge as well because he's been out at this track a number of times with this car. So on paper he should be faster, but this is going to be a nice little battle between father and son. John is really turning up the heat on Chad, actually. He's probably a good 10-15 seconds ahead, and there's a lot of factors with that. I mean, first, it's the first heat, and so they're not really pushing it to the best of their abilities. Chad's got an instructor with him, so he's kind of showing him the track, and he's getting familiar. I'm guessing he's going to close that gap just a little bit, but at the same time, those modifications and the driver skill are really showing what kind of difference they can make, and especially on a corner like this, the brake upgrades. There goes the Sentra, it's super loud. The brake upgrades on a corner like this are really going to be a deciding factor, and also the slicks that are on the car. So that is a lot of why John's gotten the advantage, is just those modifications. These guys are letting their cars cool down because, as I mentioned, one of the problems that he's had in the past is it overheats. Now today isn't that hot of a day, but we are still taking precautions so it doesn't really overheat. Nick was in the little Sentra, and they're hanging out here just kind of talking about it all. I figured we'd go and chat with them. Welcome back, guys.
Hey.
How was the track session out there?
Very good.
Yeah?
Very excited.
Well, it must have been good for you because you were in the lead the whole time.
Well, I started in the lead, so pole position helps.
Yeah, exactly. And you were in the little car that could.
Ooh, the little car that could. Kept on going.
Yeah.
And did well in that.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
You were putting a hurting on that Mustang, the boss.
Yeah, he didn't want any.
Yeah, he wasn't much of a boss.
No, he was not a boss.
But that's cool. I mean, you can't really ask for a better lap than that. Everyone came home safe, everyone's smiling, and we got, what, another 5-6 sessions to go?
That's what we do.
The big reason that Gary's so focused on temps in this car is, well, obviously we don't want it to overheat out on the track. You're going to be doing track racing in the summer and the hot months, so it's going to be a repeated thing with this car. And if it's already having temperature issues, the harder that he pushes it, the more those issues are going to come up. Now, the reason that Gary's so interested in this is because there could be a custom fabrication element to it. We have even talked about potentially cutting a vent in the hood, maybe even adding a third radiator to the front and doing some sort of custom ducting. So he's here to sort of analyze if that's a feasible modification, because it is going to be a pretty major step forward into making this even more of a track car than it already is. Contender entered the ring. It's raining all of a sudden, which is really weird because it's been a sunny, clear, just really nice summer day. So I'm wondering, because they're halfway through their session, what this is going to do to the track. I think they might actually be cutting this session short because it looks like he's flagging people down. The Boss 302 came back in, so maybe it is a little bit of a break time right now for us. Well, we went from a light sprinkle to essentially a downpour. It's starting to settle down a little bit right now, but it means all of the cars have had to come off track, except a 350Z that's decided to do some rain time drifting. So good for him. We have to listen to his VQ though, and that's unfortunate for us. But I also think this gives us a bit of an opportunity to sit down with John and talk about the car in the session before we wrap things up, and hopefully the sun comes out for them, dries this off, and they can continue their sessions. John, I want to chat with you about your experience today. You're about halfway through the day. We've got a little bit of water on the ground. Presumably it's going to dry up and you're going to be right back out there. But you've had this car out for how many sessions here, since you bought it?
Total sessions, yeah. 15?
15 sessions. So you really have felt the progression of stock
Absolutely.
car with every modification. And we were talking a little bit about the biggest modification impacts. And you mentioned brakes, but you mentioned in a way that I liked, where you said, you know it's a big impact when you don't have to think about it. So
right.
What do you...
Yeah, that was probably my first modification, was with the brakes. And so that's been very significant. I don't have to worry about not having enough brakes, and now it's just continuing to push myself to go deeper before I brake.
Right.
So that's been great.
So that, to me, says a lot about the mod when you do it, and then it's not even on your mind anymore because you haven't surpassed it. Like, your skill hasn't even caught up to the full capacity of that brake kit. And I mean, hopefully you get close and your skill keeps growing in that, where you can use them to their full potential. But you outperform the factory Brembos, pretty quickly. Yeah. And so that AP
once
racing
I
kit,
put the racing slicks on, I needed to change the brakes.
Exactly. And then the other thing you mentioned was the aerodynamics, so the front splitter and the rear spoiler.
Yeah, so that's been the most recent change. Mm-hmm. So, and that's been pretty significant and interesting to watch the growth of that as we first put the wing on, and then realized I was having a little bit of understeer, and then put the front splitter on. Right. And that really has balanced it out today. That my grip today was phenomenal. Awesome. I had no issues of either understeer or oversteer.
And what's even more phenomenal is you were adjusting it in the morning, and we kind of picked an arbitrary baseline, and it seemed to have worked because you weren't...
It did, yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm tempted to try a little more angle on the wing. Try another 1 degree, and see if I get a little bit of understeer.
Well, that's got to be part of the fun. You go out here, and I mean, you improve as a driver. You improve the car by putting new modifications in, but also adjusting the other modifications that are on and making it work as a full system, essentially. Right. And then the last thing we really talked about is, you may not necessarily need more power right now, but I mean, more power is always better. And you said you wanted to put E85 in that car? Yeah. So, patience, Gary. Yeah. You guys are helping me figure that out, and
guide me through that and
Right.
dealing with the tune and some of the programming issues on the
Yeah, and I assume some of the cooling issues that are going to come along with it, because the more power you add, the hotter the car runs,
Yeah,
the
very
harder you
true.
drive it, and so it's kind of a snowball effect, and it's really cool to be a part of a process. You know, you find a problem, you create a solution, and that's what the fabrication side of the industry is all about. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a wrap with that. I'm just fueling up, and then it's a few hours drive back to the shop and then back home. These guys still have a couple of hours on their session, so they're gonna wait for the track to dry up, probably another 10 minutes or so since the sun is out, and then they're going right back at it. Now, you may have noticed I didn't actually get any seat time on the session, and that was a little bit disappointing, but it turns out that it was an instructor-only day, which is ultimately great for the drivers to have an instructor in the passenger seat the whole time. I'm assuming their skills improved pretty greatly, and when we have a little bit more time, we could probably sit down with that group and talk to them about their experience. Now, John gave us a great breakdown, so we got a bit of insight on those modifications, and it's only a matter of time before that car comes right back to Patience Metal Fab, probably in the next week or so, and then we've got a lineup of new modifications that we're going to be tackling on that car. So I appreciate you guys watching this video. Hopefully you found it enjoyable, entertaining, enough to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it around, and know that there's more C8 footage coming, and this is really only the start for track footage and build footage. We've got so much on the horizon. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.